Isn't that nice? Love it. So welcome. My name's John Limcool. Hands together, head bowed. This is a new library, just released. Library number 55, believe it or not, for Unify. Can you believe that? 55 libraries for Unify. It's crazy, crazy. Well, we've been at it for 5 years. So that makes sense. Anyway, welcome. Hey, so this is Cloudform. I originally called this Starfield, but the more I worked on it, the more it had more of an uplifting, closer to Earth feeling than something in space. So I came up with another name that I think describes very nicely what this library has to offer. It's pretty cool. Cool drums, which are made mostly from my grand piano, played with drumsticks and stuff. Pretty cool. The chords. I haven't made many libraries with chords, but for this library, I went pretty carried away. There's 14 different chords. You have them both by themselves. You have them with bass and a little bit faster. So for those of you that like to do chill and ambient things and so forth, where you have a cool chord, one note, there you go, you know? And then version 3 of each one of these is or if you're doing dancey things and stuff, you've got a little bit snap. There's even we'll get more into the details and stuff, but on the second page is a pitch EG for the snap, so you can control how much snap you want it to have in the mix. And you can see there's major, there's minor. Right? So the library is 97 multi-sounds. If you look at GuruSampler here, check this out. There's 97 different things. There's basses, bell motion from Koshi Chimes. We'll talk about these a little bit more in a minute. These were an absolute pain in the butt to record, but boy, they're nice sounding. Here's the chords, and you can see there's a drum kit, there's drum hits. I have all these piano hits and stuff. I just got a grand piano. So the first thing I did with my piano is I was playing with drumsticks and hitting it on the soundboard and stuff to make all these really, really cool. Let's see if I go over here. Let's go down to the patches because you won't hear it here, but like all these kind of. And some of these are just super, super cool for. So if you're doing filmic, the other thing I recorded from my piano is this. This is Piano Striker. This is playing the piano with a drumstick with a really big nylon head. It's a really cool, different kind of a sound, right? There's the drums. Then on top of that, there's a whole bunch of granular synth pads and stuff that I created with Novum. So there's all this really cool. There's stuff like this. There's other pads and synths. See, sounds like clouds, right? So there's really nice stuff like this. Really fun. I like this here, whereas the Moog space. And then there's some bonus patches. There's 190 patches total. I'll go through the whole library here in a minute. Really fun. This has a sound on the rain. You know, that kind of stuff. So really fun, big chords. This is like layering lots of the chords. So we'll do the whole library walkthrough. There's a lot of stuff here to play with. To show. Oh, one more thing in this introduction part. Check this out. The drum kit is super, super, super cool. Here is the Star Piano kit. Now the lower part, it's not a general MIDI map. It's just mapped across the keyboard. Whole bunch of kick drums first. These are made from kick 2. I used that to create the kicks, and then I made different variations where it might be dry. Like there's 4 versions of this kick. So you have different treatments of the same kick drum. So you can do different variations. Then up here you get to the piano. I use brushes. I use jazz brushes. All sorts of stuff. So on top of this, there's also these BPM grooves that are using those drums. And on the main page, you can cycle between. There's 31 drum patterns total. So you can call this up, go down to a BPM pad. Let's get BPM pad 1, say load into Unify, and have a cool right? So all sorts of fun ways to use, they all work and integrate, of course. And then the stars of this show, as far as I'm concerned, that are unique. I actually talking with a friend that actually recommended I get these Koshi Chimes to sample. They're really hard. First of all, they're not in tune, so I had to tune them. And then you can't, I'll pop up a picture so you can see inside are 8 little metal dowels that this button, it hits. And so when it's suspended in this bamboo chamber, these are used for healing and meditation environments and stuff like that. It's just a really, really beautiful sound. And there's 4 of them. There's water, air, earth, and fire. And so I have all 4 of them here. They each have a different chord. 2 are major, 2 are minor. This is earth, so it's a major. And where's fire? That's air. Oh, here's fire, the other major one. And if you do it just right, you can get the little piece down here to actually do in a circle. Takes a lot of work to get that technique down, but I have it both as individual samples, so you could call up something like this is the chorus, so you can like this. There's also samples where there's fast and then there's slow. And if you want, you can turn on a sub. Really, really cool. Very unique. But it took a lot of work to record these. I had to use ribbon microphones just to get it so it wasn't so bright and thin. Other microphones, it wasn't coming out quite the same. So, lots of fun, cool bells, all that kind of stuff, and then the basses. So, anyway, let's do a patch walkthrough for the library. I'll show you the flow of everything. So, the basses, these first ones are granular. That kind of thing, right? Here's another. Got some crispiness to it. There's a big thing in a lot of social media circles of the bass that kind of that growth bass. So I have a couple variations. Here's another one that's really cool. It's got that detuned growl to it, and up high it's and they fade out, so it's really nice. You can just let them. There's some light stabby. My piano. By the way, the other cool thing, every patch has custom artwork that I made to kind of convey. So when you go to something like Resfall, it's like the end of the wars and these are looped. You just get all this crazy motion. And if you want, you can open up GuruSampler. Go here, bring up the decay. Have something that hits bright and then goes away. Have the filter envelope do that darkening for you. Add a little resonance if you wanted to squeal a little bit more. Isn't that cool? So you can play around with the settings in here. I just kept it right open so that it's like that, but it's easy to modify. Then we get to the Koshi Chimes. Now, I present these in a couple different ways. There's right here, there's just one sample across the whole keyboard. Oh, and in the sweet spot, they play nice, but play octaves, you'll hear the harmonics. Not ideal, but that's just the nature of these chimes. Now, I have them also, the round robin right here, which has lots of samples, so you can go to like this and right? But I also have them presented here, 8 notes. Meaning I'm making it so it has basically the 8 times and the 8 pitches of each one of these. And I have, you know, artwork representing the air for here. And then it's just middle C, for an octave. Just white notes. And if you go to aqua, and then earth, and fire. You can do that kind of thing. Now, also I have the 4 chimes version, which is all 4 of them together. And you can use this layer selector to cycle between the 4, and then use transpose if you want to get really carried away. You know, do different tracks of the different chords and so forth. There's different ways to do it, but this have an octave up and down, and all 4 of them to select between. So you have as much flexibility as I could put into here with Unify to do these things. Then we get to the bell motion phrases, and there's a whole bunch of them. This one here is like all 40 phrases. Each octave so you can play between these, find the exact thing that you want to use, and right. So that's for all the different Koshi chimes. As you can see, they're also separated. Here's a single, so you can play them up and down the keyboard. Really, really lovely. So there's all these to play with. Here's fire. Then the drum grooves, and I have all 31 of these drum grooves are all basically the same patch, just with the macro knob 8 in a different place, because this way you could just call up exactly. See, instead of changing to 4, I could just move the knob. I love the piano. It's only every other time. Silly Skippy. Then you have controls here. So you can mess them up, play with them, do all sorts of fun stuff like that. Now, because I have degrade going on and then the noise distortion, you get all sorts of fun stuff like that going on with these. So that's the basics of, there's dubstep kind of things, there's dance things, there's pop, lo-fi, chill. Up here, it tells you the name of the patch, so you can see which one you're playing with. The ones are the minimal. 2. Snare drum from a piano hit, pretty fun. So that's in the kit, and of course you can always turn off MIDIBox and just play it any way you want that way, and it's just new sounds. It's a drum kit you haven't probably heard before for someone sit and play their piano. All right, so after that we have chords. Like I said, there's 3 variations to the chords. There's slow, faster. The bass is on. It's the bass is here now. And if you want, instead of the sine wave synth, which you can't modify, you can say Unify Standard, GuruSampler, or any plugin you own. And I could go over here, like this has this really cool Unison 8 voice. Give it a slow attack and a longer release. So you can make all sorts of cool bass. That sounds nice. You can go to like even Mega Magic pads and something like Battleborn. And this would have to go up an octave. Right? So you see things like this, cold space, it's minor. Now what's fun is if you take, let's use freedom. Then go up here to the Koshi Chimes and change this to be just layer 1. That's all we need. And call up one of these, it's maybe a fast one. Now you got this cool motion going along with it. And if you want to get like what we used to do back in the old days for programming, like the M1, go over here to cut off, or actually not cut off, but to pitch, and set this to like an octave and slow this down. And then put this through delay and reverb. Turn it down a little bit. So you get this really, really cool textured motion stuff going on. Or you could set this instead to like a sample and hold, and maybe even make it BPM based, so it's like 8th notes. Over here to your drums. We're at Unify. Let's go Unify layer. Actually, yeah, let's say the Unify layer for this. And let's maybe say like be ready. So you can get some like splashes of little bell motions things happening. So there's a reason I put these ingredients together, because I love, there's very famous samples back in the day for the Roland samplers that had these really cool pads with things growing and sparkles. And so this library gives you the room to make things like that. Right? So really, really fun as far as that goes. So continuing with the chords, here it is. Number 1's always slow and very cinematic for film and that kind of thing. 3's all for that kind of thing. So right? Open road. Now, these don't work across the whole keyboard. You kind of find the sweet spot where it's recognizable and so forth. They're really, really fun. I hope you guys play with these a lot. And if you want to use them layered, go over here and set to instrument 1 only. So if you load any other 2 and 3s, you're loading just the hit part, not the bass, so you don't get double basses. Otherwise, it gets a little bit too thick. This only loads whatever instrument 1 is in a patch is what is loaded into Unify, and it's not loaded as a Unify layer. It's just, as you'll see, if I go over here to like this one and say, we're on minor, so let's choose another minor. it just loaded GuruSampler. So the cool thing with this is, let's go over here, let's get another minor like here. Now, right now the knobs, it's only affecting one. But because I use this layer 1, you see they all say GuruSampler, or they say sine wave bait, which it doesn't matter. But the simple rule is you can use a cool procedure over here that says duplicate links to all layers. And what the rule is that it's looking at this layer. This has a GuruSampler. So anything that's assigned a GuruSampler, it's going to put to other GuruSamplers it finds in layers. So here, let's open up, say this. This shows you just layer 1 instrument, right? When I go over here and I use this command and I say duplicate to all layers, boom, it's connected them all. So now, and degrade is now on everybody. Same with pump house. Sample start, the attack. So you can use this to build up really cool, big, complex layers. If you want to start over, a cool shortcut is just to right click and say load as a patch. So this makes, I don't have to change my mode. So this is major 7. So then I could, since I'm still on instrument 1 only, if I go over here to open Road major 7, I could add promotion to, and maybe I want to transpose this. So and maybe I don't want it to stay bright. So you can use the filter and use this envelope, bring down the cutoff, set how much you want here, and then your decay speed and your sustain. If you want to get some like frequency shifting and cutting and stuff. All right, so there's fun stuff to do there. The drum kits, there's both the drum kit, same drum kit, but now it's been separated to 3 layers. So the kicks are 1 layer, snares, and then all the hi-hat elements. Now, for example, here, if I wanted, I could go over here, I could say MIDIBox, and I could say go over here to Cloudform, click here, and it will give me the drum grooves, and I could say load the stack. So it loads all 31. First one's blank. Slow it down. Now I'm in standalone. I'm not, if I was in a DAW, then you'd be controlling the speed of your DAW. And you want to set this to play, not transpose, because you just want to play the pattern. If you set it to something else, you can get really cool happy accidents because each note is transposing the notes of that what the pattern's supposed to be up and down the keyboard. Right? Now, if I'm using the separate layers, let's do this. Let's copy this. So that we say just copy this MIDIBox so I don't have to do this again. Now, because I have 3 layers to make this, I can't just use right here and say MIDIBox. I could, but I'd have to do 3 of them. So this is where the MIDI layers and MIDI effects comes into play. Because one cool thing with Unify is you can use one MIDI effect to talk to lots of plugins. Something that's really hard to do in any DAW. You can do really easily here. So we just go over here and we say MIDIBox. And it's over here and it's not programmed, but now I hold down Shift and I click the little blob and it gets set with the pattern. And then all I have to do is go down here and say listen to MIDIBox 1. And now all 3 are, and I gotta set this to play and slow it down. And then what's kind of fun is if you want, you can now go into each one of these, like the snares, and use this transpose. And you could like find alternate patterns if you want, or not. Here's the hi-hat. So you also play tuning with chorus. So go to the kick. That's irritating, but you get the idea what you can do, right? So, but that's how it works. If you want to set up I didn't set up patterns on these, but that's how you would do it if you wanted these to work, okay? Effect hits. My lovely Yamaha grand piano. The first thing I'm doing is making cool, funky noises on it. It's like... I love the little string tongue. That low note, I just accidentally clipped one of the strings and just rang out just really nice. I was like, oh, I'm keeping that. That's cool. All right, now we get to the granular synths and stuff. There's a lead. If you move the sample start, it's really, really nice, like 80s melody synthy part, stuff like that. There's pads. And again, click the box so you can see the artwork for each one. Like for all the piano things. Oh, I didn't assign these. Well, I'm doing one update to the library. I'll add, because I want to do some cinematic drums, and I'm going to add that as a secondary thing. But if you go here to the drum patterns themselves, I made a drum kit and a piano merged together as a funny AI image. So anyway, you get the idea with that. Here's Suspended Emotions. Looks like one of those photos you'd find in a Psychology Today magazine, right? You know, Tribble Troubles. And it's kind of cute. Right? Isn't that fun? Life drops for... And again, layer release is right here if you want to be shorter. They don't have to ring forever. It's just, I thought it's kind of nice that way. But you can change that, automate that if you want. Other things like the other. Then you get to other plucks. This is cool. And if you go up here to these Koshi Chimes, and you take the round robin, like the, let's see, let's use this chorus one. Load this as a new Unify layer. Gives you that kind of cool missing it. So again, they all work together very nicely. Where are we at? We're down here in these synths. Mining on a planet for this valuable material. Moog Space Ethereal. Yeah! Moog's in space. Ober Space Eternal. And again, a cool fun. And if you want to, you can combine this in the Moog space together and sounds very, very nice. And then the Galaxy Queen. You know, and then you get to bonus patches. There's, I don't know how many I made at the end, but I think there's about 20 or so. Anywhere from all the basses together. Isn't that cool? To a more tightly filtered version of the solid pointer up there. Bells. Combining the Koshi Chimes with Mega Magic Bells and Winds, which those samples are included inside of the GuruSampler. If you go over here to like, what is it like? I know it says Martin guitar, but it's actually a sound from, I don't know if, I should do a video at some point talking about this, but in GuruSampler, there's a whole bunch of different categories that are different libraries I made for Omnisphere way, way back in the day that I picked select samples. This is one library I still need to actually make for Unify. I haven't done that yet, so it's probably one of the next libraries I'll do is Mega Magic Bells and Winds for Unify with all of the bells and winds samples. There's like 4 or 5 times this many samples. But there's some nice bells here, and so if you go to this and just change, you can find a ton of different bells. There's also a separate attack on this one, which is coming from this third layer. Remove that, and it's not such a sharp attack. Well, just because the kalimba's here. If you want even brighter attack. So all sorts of fun places to go with these patches. Another bell patch. There's some BPM chords. This is with the drums. Everybody playing along. Solar Energy. Now, there's 3 other variations of Solar Energy you'll find here. There's this one here, which doesn't have the drums. So you put your own drum pattern in, and you have the bass to just play. So if you wanted to be 16th notes, you could. And then there's 2 different pads. Solar Energy 1 has both the bells and the pad elements. Solar Energy 2 is just the pad elements. And both of these have a knob set up to go between, whether it's the pad, or you could spin this to cycle to the BPM little pump house. Or go up one more, and this sets the mix to be both. And if you go to Solar Energy 1, it's not only the pulse, but it's also the ARPs, the bells. So if you set these off, you'll have just the pad. Then if you bring up the ARP, the first one gives you the more mellow ARP. Bring this up, and again, the way that Unify works is that it doesn't start playing the new layers until you play new notes. So you can have this set, change what you want to do next. I want everything on. And set it back to the pad. So you can get all sorts of different mixes just with a couple knobs. This is using our ability, what's called MIDI enable for the layers. So let's say I have 4 layers here. If I was to go like to plus to instrument 4, right here is this MIDI enable. And so if you turn this on, this knob now is also turning on layer 4 now. See? Because I have it added. And then if I was to go over here and say, I want to follow this curve, so I could say, copy this curve, put it to 4 and say, paste this curve. So now it will follow the curve of number 1. So it's off when one's off and stuff. So you can, this is how you can set up your arrangement so you can cycle from one sound to another sound to another sound in a live setting. It's very, very powerful. Other sounds to find here, Dance of the Meteors. Nice and big and bright and all that kind of stuff. Nothing But Stars. This is back when it was called Starfield. Kept the name. Chords, these are different panning, different sounds. Stuff like that. There's a really cool kit. Love that. A couple keyboard sounds that are using the Intimate Grand, which is part of the core samples inside of inside of Unify, inside of Steinway. Here's the Rhodes. Just got that extra bright, tiny thing from the Koshi Chimes, a big angry voice. Some cool pads. Isn't that cool? Bellissimo Dreams. Some splits. This is cool for the so it's using the chords and all sorts of other things. Boldly Go. bass, bell, flute, and strings. Nice. And then finally, the night swallows you. Yeah. So you get the idea. Fun library, lots of patches, lots of variations, some new colors. I really like the Koshi Chimes, how they brought to even the pianos and the bell pads and stuff. Some really nice synth sounds. Came out nice. So hope you enjoy. Thank you for your support as always, and we'll see you soon.